All right, good afternoon. Thank you everyone for joining today. I'm Rashana Moss, and I am a mental performance coach partnered with Kollective, and also work with corporations, individuals, and athletes. I'm excited to interview Karena Dawn today. With my own background with having fitness studios before and then with mental health and where Karena is right now in terms of the big silence, there's a lot to share. And I think what you'll get out of this conversation is so much about sustainability. We're gonna talk about beginning your business, just like everyone else, but her sustainability is incredible and being able to then create additional silos because of how long she's been in business. You'll learn a lot. So Karena, come up and join us, please. Test that.
Hello, and thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I love Kollective, as Jeremy and all the team know, and Devin. Also an investor here, so happy to be on this stage.
Awesome. Can y'all hear us? Be
Yes.
honest. Okay. All right. So first of all, I think we're the oldest ones in the building. Did y'all know that?
I think so.
We are, so you'll learn some wisdom today, right? Okay, so
Oldest and wisest, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll give that to you, the wisest part. Let's rewind because, honestly, because we are the oldest ones in the building, I grew up with you where so many other people may not have been like part of your tone it up revolution. Mm-hmm. So can we rewind way back, talk about that, how you started and what was your reason and your why, and even talk about the partnership and how old you were.
Yeah, so my company, Tone It Up, was founded in 2009. Prior to that, I was an athlete, a triathlete, one of Oakley. I was the first female athlete that they sponsored for their Perform Beautifully campaign. And fitness, thank you. Hey!
Is that an Oakley fan over there?
All right.
That's awesome.
But, you know, fitness, why I got into fitness is because fitness changed my life. It wasn't an aesthetic. So in my early 20s, I had this transformative moment. And I'll go way back if we're going to go way back. I grew up in Indiana, and I grew up in the 90s where no one was talking about mental health. And my mother was diagnosed with schizophrenia in the 90s. And I went through this deep decade of darkness, I call it, and depression and drug misuse. And I finally, in my early 20s, I was like, when was I my happiest? And I was like, oh, I remember I was running and I did a half marathon. I was like 11 years old. And I said, you know what, Karena, you're in this darkness and you are meant for more. So what is this? I started running. So I signed up for a triathlon. I turned my Hollywood nightclub nights into waking up to train, jump in the ocean, run, do all the things, and that was my healing. And so then, once I started to heal and realized I was not my mother, and I was not going to have the illness like my mother, I was like, I want to share this with other women. And so then, okay, we're the oldest people here. This is pre-Instagram. This is like first person.
Dude, we weren't even on Facebook yet.
I don't know. There might have been Facebook.
I wasn't on it. Were you on it?
I was, yeah.
Okay. I wasn't.
No, but this was when YouTube was music.
Yeah.
And so we were the first people on YouTube doing fitness. And anyway, so we wanted to create a safe space for women where fitness was about having fun and getting together with your girlfriends and commuting or having community and coming together. And where it wasn't judging each other and you could do a squat and you could not do it perfectly, but really about creating community. And so that's how Tone It Up came about 15 years ago.
That's awesome. So one of the big takeaways from what you said was like your personal experience. And I think oftentimes we separate our personal experience from business and we make business super objective, which yes, it needs to be for so many reasons because the money matters, right? Like you've got to be profitable and all of that. But your business started because you actually went through pain and you also were trying to make sure that you were not going to live the same life as what you were seeing at home.
Yeah, because I think so many of us get caught up in what's happening at home and generational trauma. And myself, I'm second generation. My family came here from the Ukraine in the 50s, and there's a lot of trauma there. And it was kind of like, where can I stop this victimhood, and where can I make this change? And I didn't go to college, y'all. I'm a 2-time college dropout. I tried, but I was, yeah, I heard one person applaud. No, I was just like, let me get to work.
Yeah.
Let me figure out how to help society, because I was able to learn how to heal myself and help myself, and other people deserve to do the same. And so with my work through Tone It Up, making fitness fun again and working out because it makes you feel good and you get those endorphins, that was my purpose. So everything I do, from Tone It Up to the Big Silence Foundation, it's all about how can we change this world one little step at a time.
That's awesome. So work ethic is another thing, obviously, that's huge. And I think this is now the third conversation where we've heard about work ethic, and from people who have roots that are also not U.S. born. And I think something that's so cool about like immigrant populations, you see this a lot, and I see this in my work all the time, is that people have a work ethic and you show up and it's like, we've got to get it done no matter what. So you had that in your blood. You then see, hey, we've got this opportunity. We want to create this community. So explain Tone It Up a little bit more, and your partnership and how that started and what Tone It Up became.
Yeah, so Tone It Up, founded in 2009, we started making YouTube videos on the beach, wanted to create community. First, we built community. We didn't sell anything for 3 years. I was begging my dad for my rent money in LA. And I stopped all of my other work to focus on Tone It Up. And so then we listened to community and what they wanted. So first it came a nutrition plan. I wish Mari from Bloom was still here, because I was like, that girl only charged $5 for her PDF. I'm like, girl, I charged $150. And but I'm just saying, like, the community asked for something, and that's what we provided for them. So then it became, okay, what protein do you believe in? And at the time, there wasn't a protein out there that stood with our nutrition plan, which was the PDF. And so we decided to create our own. And then it just kept building from there, and we created an app and with fitness and meditation, and brought on other trainers. And we were also exclusive at Target for the first year of our protein, after we were done with DTC, direct to consumer. And then we were in 16,000 doors, from Target, Walgreens, HEB, all the Walmart, all the things.
Yeah.
So we built this incredible community that then wanted the product, because it was so important for us to provide a lifestyle. The same that you're here at Kollective, you're providing a lifestyle community. What do you need? You always listen to the community.
Absolutely. Did you have a favorite workout move?
Oh gosh.
I mean, you got tights on right now.
I mean, I live in my yoga pants. But I will say I have transitioned. You cannot find me running anymore.
Okay.
You will not find me do a triathlon. You will not find me doing a burpee. I've transitioned so much. Now I went through my yoga phase. Now I'm in my weightlifting and hiking phase.
That's awesome. That's super awesome. So the other thing is, when you were starting the business, you did not have the same access to tools as people have now. So when we think about exposure, what really tipped the scale for Tone It Up?
I wouldn't say luck. I mean, it was luck. You're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. That's something new. There was a timing thing, because now with influencers and fitness, it's very different. When we were the trailblazers of influencing, before influencing was a thing, and we were able to build this community and not had any debt until we brought on private equity. But that's another thing. But what was the secret? Or
Because wasn't there like television exposure and
Oh
everything?
yeah, I had a TV
That's
show.
when I remember. I watched y'all on TV.
You guys don't go watch it, but I did have a TV show on
They
Bravo
did. Yeah.
called Toned Up.
Right.
And it was all about, and they approached us because we were the trailblazers in the fitness realm, and they're like, do you want a TV show? And we're like, I don't know. And then we did it. It was great. It was fun.
But great exposure.
It was great exposure.
Right.
I mean, it was really weird living in a house with cameras around you 24/7, but it was fun.
Absolutely. So now you've got Tone It Up, it's established, you're in stores, on TV, all of that. And you sustain the business for how long? So you started what year?
2009.
2009. And that's, I mean, we're talking years. So many people have been talking about starting their business, but then when it comes to sustaining it, you have to go through a bunch of markets. 2009 alone was rough market-wise. And I think a lot of people now, you're hearing people that you know or whatever have kind of fear about what's going on now. Like things are unstable, you're not sure what's going on. And when you have a business for a long time, you've got to sustain a lot of market up, like increases, decreases. So can you tell us about the ups and downs of the market?
Oh man, the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur, being in business, owning anything from real estate to business, anything. You know, we were talking on the phone the other day about that hoorah stage. Yeah. Like, I'll take all my friends to the Bahamas, and we're having a good time, and you know, and then just building the business and the stress of it and the ups and downs. But the takeaway I would say is don't ever give up. Even when there's the downtimes, because there is. In 15 years of a business, I've had my downtimes. My business partner that I founded the company with left the company about 1.5 years ago. She, you know, wanted to go on to other endeavors. But it's hard when it comes down to it. But with my roots, I don't give up. And it's something that I'm so passionate about our community that we've built, about, like, you give that much of your life into dedicating wellness and fitness in a business, like you can't get rid of me.
I love that. So when you are in that mentality of not giving up, what are 3 things or more that you tap into in order to understand the differentiation in the market and what you might need to adjust about your business in order to sustain?
3 things. Let me just do 3 things of advice. It's gonna suck sometimes, but that's okay, because the sucky parts are what makes the good parts. And I learned that as a kid. So I think that's where I'm able to sustain and keep going. The market has become, I don't want to say saturated, because even when I started in the fitness business 15 plus years ago, people were like, oh, you'll never succeed, it's too saturated. Nothing is saturated. Become unique. Find out what is unique about you. And as I mentioned before, like, I'm in the middle of another deal where I can't talk about it, but it's something freaking unique. And to keep going and then get it reignited and re-excited and be like, wow, and have people believe in you. Like, if you just keep going and you stay strong, like, people will believe in you, and new ideas will come. It's like, okay, well, I did this 15 years ago and was something new in the market. Okay, now I'm figuring out what is that new thing, and I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna do it now solo as an entrepreneur. Yeah. Other thing, vulnerability. Be vulnerable. Ask for help. Reach, like, you don't always have to be super strong. I sometimes can come across that way, but I wouldn't doubt if I start shedding a tear on stage today, because it's normal and it's hard, but vulnerability is a really key thing in being an entrepreneur.
That's great. I love what you said about no market being saturated, because so many people in here probably know what it means to have that seed planted, and you're just like, I know I'm supposed to be doing this, but I'm so scared because I don't know how to find my place in a market. But if you're dedicated, and stick with it, then you find your lane and your differentiation. So I think that's a really good point for everyone. And then also in regards to vulnerability, you are human. And being able to ask for help, understand like your strengths, right, is huge. So how has your vulnerability served you as a business owner?
Honesty with my partners, private equity partners, VC. Even this morning, I was putting together my pitch on, I'm like, this is what I want. This is what I'm weak at. This is my strength. This is what is a hell no for me. You have to be very open with what your strengths are. I know what I'm not good at. And that's okay. Like, we have a lot of strengths, and then say what your weaknesses are.
Yeah. Okay. So let's stay on that theme, because as you're going through business starts to challenge you personally, right? And you start to learn things about yourself that you didn't know before, because it's almost like it speeds up your growth process. So what was your experience personally as a business owner sustaining for so long?
Getting beat up. That's it. You get beat up, and you're like, wow, where do I find the strength? But it's like, even my husband, he's like, Karena, you can walk away. You're fine. We can go live our life. And I'm like, but no, I have more people to help. I have more power, strength, sustainability in me. Like, I don't want to. So you just keep going. And for me, I think, how many people in this room have their own business, right? And how many people here have just been thrown to the floor, right? But then there's something in you that's like, no, but you are in charge of your own life and your own success and the choices you make, and that's a beautiful thing. So if you keep reminding yourself that, like, I built this, and I've become so much stronger because I have built this, and I can keep going, and I get to make the choices in my life, how I spend my day. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, but it's hard as hell, but life is hard as hell.
Okay, so what resources, when you are getting beat up, are you utilizing to put yourself back together?
Yes. So I have a toolbox: therapy, therapy, good friendships, community. Working out is number one. Like, get your ass in the gym, come to Kollective and work out. And there's a great community here and people who are going through the same thing. I love meditation, getting out in nature. It's those little things. I mean, everything's here. Cold plunging. My husband's like, if I have a morning where I'm having anxiety, my husband's like, jump in that cold plunge. Like, it's just those little toolbox. And I even suggest, like, by your bedside table on your kitchen counter, have a list of at least 5 things that you know when you're having a moment of whatever it may be, anxiety, I call it. Go do those things. And because we can also be our own worst enemy, where we stop working out, we stop meditating, we stop, doing all the things that are good for us. So make sure you have an accountability partner as well. It says, hey, can you go work out with me today? I think it's really just that toolbox.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about another toolbox. We talked about you starting the business, the sustainability through the markets, and what you go through personally. Now, on the business side, in order to sustain, there have to be other tools, and you talked about like private equity and so forth. So what led to that point where you said, this is the point that we're at? We now need to tap into more financial backing because of whatever growth that we want to pursue.
Yeah, so again, had no debt for many, many years until 2018, and then we were just putting money back in, and we were growing so much, which is incredible. And yeah, we're finally like, okay, we need to bring money in for working capital. So then we brought in private equity. I love my private equity. Good owner. If it's difficult, so if you have a business and you move into the private equity side, typically they like to bring in CEOs. We went through 4 CEOs, male, love men. But I'm just saying, like, it's to run a female-focused business, it's very hard to bring in male CEOs and then not have the founders be the voice anymore. But it was a really good choice because we did have working capital. It was a lot of transition. Anyone out there, just know that if you do take investment, it's normal to have things change a lot. And I wouldn't change anything, but I'm just letting you know it's really stressful. I don't know.
So what did you do to not take that personal? Because that was your baby. Like, you built that. Okay, now you're at the point of private equity, and you have people coming in making adjustments to your vision. So how'd you handle that?
Therapy. I don't know. It's working through it all, setting boundaries, really having a voice and standing up for what you think is right for the company and for the community. It's really important and do it in a respectful way. I think sometimes you can come in and you can, in business, be negative and say, I'm never doing business and saying anything mean. It's very, like, you have to do a business in a respectful way. That's one of my strengths, is doing it respectfully. Like, hey, can we have this conversation? I think XYZ should be done differently. I'm not happy with this. And even now, and that's why I believe my co-founder left. It was just too much. But I like the challenge. Yeah.
Karena, that's huge too, because we know so many businesses where private equity comes in and then the business actually fails.
Mm-hmm.
So private equity is not a guaranteed success, because there can be a discrepancy between the original vision, right, and then what private equity does. And so now you're compromising your original customers and everything else. So you saying that you stand up for the vision, but in a respectful way, do you feel like it allows the private equity company to then understand and receive the message that you are trying to communicate, and then you can align and then move forward together?
Yes, because I could have not been respectful and walked away, but I choose to be respectful and communicate. So I think that's really important, and that's where my PE partners are working with me now, and we have something amazing. Again, we go on that roller coaster, the hoorah, the this, the this, the this. I stick with it. They're like, damn, Karena's not going anywhere. She's not going to let us get through that. Like, she's staying. Okay, we believe in her. Let's keep this going, and now we're in a good place again.
That's awesome, because partnership in business is hard.
Yes, no matter what. No matter
is.
what. I mean, even, I'm sure you guys here at Kollective, partnership's hard. Anyone who rose their hand up, like, partnership is hard. And that's okay, that's normal.
Yeah. How have you also normalized riding the wave? Because you have talked about the ups, downs, and then with the partnership and so forth. So that sounds like a lot of flux. So how have you normalized that?
I would say in any aspect of life, we ride the wave, right? We have the good days and we have the bad days. And that's emotionally, financially, in friendships, marriages, business, everything. We always know there's going to be a wave to ride, but we always know that it comes back up again. So if we have those tools, we can sustain. And that's how you sustain. Be like, I know, I'm going to have this tough day, but I know it's going to turn around, but I'm ready. I'm so strong. I have built something. I've built, like, who I am and who I know I am, like, that we can sustain. And that's sustainability.
Okay, that's awesome. And you talked about bringing on private equity because of the need of financial infusion with where you're growing. So you Tone It Up to a certain point. Now you're moving into products, like you said, you're in Target, TV, everything. And at what point do you decide that you want to then begin the big silence?
Yeah. And I also want to bring up with the need for working capital with private equity is when you go into 16,000 retail doors, that costs a lot. Like, just, that's a whole different conversation. So The Big Silence, which is my mental health foundation. And speaking of therapy, we have a program called Therapy for All. So you can go to thebigsilence.com. Sometimes health insurance doesn't cover therapy, or therapists don't accept health insurance. So that's like our big program. But we have a podcast. We talk to doctors, psychologists, friends, celebrities, everyone about mental health, self-development. So that I founded that in 2021 because I realized I'm handling the physical fitness side, the nutrition side for us to live our best life, but we're not discussing the mental health side, which I believe that it's full circle, physical and mental. So I founded this foundation for that, to be a resource so that we can bring it full circle of living our best life. And so that was it. And then, of course, it's in honor of my mother, Linda, who passed away in 2021, and so that people don't have to suffer in silence like my mother did her entire life. Also myself, I am a teenage suicide survivor, so I wanted to make sure that we have resources for teenagers and anyone to make sure that no one has to suffer in silence.
That's amazing, like amazing.
Thank you.
And for you to be vulnerable, to use your life experience as an opportunity for others to heal and get the resources they need is huge. And so is there anything that you would want to communicate to the community today, just in regards to like those moments in life when you're in isolation and you feel like you're the only person experiencing something, and how you can then dig deep and figure out, how do I use this as a gift for others?
I think number one is realizing that you're not alone. And it wasn't until I started speaking out about my childhood and the grief that I went through that I realized that my entire, even Tone It Up community was experiencing the same, and we had so much in common. So, speaking up and sharing your stories is so important, and creating and having community. And one of my favorite conversations I had with a doctor who was on the podcast, he was talking about how isolation and not having community is worse than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So the fact that we're even here socializing, especially after what happened in 2020 and beyond, like, it's so important to continue doing events like this and bringing community.
So do you think that you sharing your story allowed you to see that your community was out there even more so than you realized?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The amount of people that reach out and be like, oh my gosh, my mother was schizophrenic. Oh my gosh, my sibling has bipolar. And like opening up those conversations too, like it's okay. A diagnosis is not an end all. Mm-hmm. And everyone deserves to live their happiest and healthiest life. And yeah, just opening up the conversation.
So it's like bringing your full self to the table is going to actually yield the results.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that. So we keep going back to this idea of sustainability because that's significant. Most people do not get to do that in business. That's huge, what you've been able to accomplish. So if we arrive to now and you have Tone It Up, The Big Silence, your podcast, I feel like you're in a legacy stage of it's a good thing.
Such a big word.
It's a good thing. In terms of like what you're going to leave your community, your family, and all of that. So how would you describe your current legacy stage and what you're trying to do?
Oh, man. Legacy. I feel like, I know we're the oldest ones here, but I feel like legacy is such a word for someone in 20 years.
Well, you're still going.
I'm still going. I'm not going anywhere. My private equity was, I always joke, I'm like, I swear my private equity is like, it's like how to lose a guy in 10 days. I'm like, sorry. I mean, or just like being an entrepreneur, I'm like, can't get rid of me. But legacy is just, what my only hope is to make the world a better place, make people happier, more joyful, and realize that you can live a good life and that you deserve it. That's it. Like, how do we have fun? How do we have more fun? How do we do what we're passionate about? How do we take risk without being scared? So legacy is live your damn life.
Absolutely. And do you also feel like your legacy is tied to that initial seed and purpose? Because even though you've created multiple streamlines and of business, it still comes back to like the one thing.
Joy?
So your business is about pursuit of joy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joy for me, joy for everyone else, laughing.
That's amazing.
And it's interesting because typically I would say a lot of entrepreneurs have dollar signs. I've never had that. And even my husband will say, he's like, you don't care about money. And that's interesting when you do something that you're passionate about and it's for purpose, the money will come. And we all love money. But I'm saying, like, it's never been my purpose.
That's huge. So do you think that having a business that is centered around your purpose has been one of the keys to your sustainability?
Yeah. It started with, okay, fitness healed me, brought me happiness. How do I share this message with others so they can feel and live in joy and happiness? And then I listened to that community. And I mean, I would say it definitely became bigger and more amazing than I ever imagined, but it comes from a place of authenticity and purpose.
I love that. So it's like going deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Is there anything that you would want to leave with this community in particular?
I just love seeing you all here. I don't know. I mean, I would love to even have a Q&A with all the hands that were raised about entrepreneurship and any questions about that or anything, any stories that would want to be shared.
Okay, like right now?
Yeah, like right now. Do I have
Is that
time?
fine? You good with that?
Is that okay? Do you guys want to?
We probably have about 5 minutes to do it.
How many times did you want to quit? And what kept you from quitting?
I wanted to quit yesterday. But I don't. I allow myself those moments. I literally, all the time, it's so hard, but I allow myself those moments, and then I take my toolbox, and I get back up, and I go. So wanting to quit is absolutely normal, because it's so hard. But you've already gotten to the point where you want to quit, so you keep going.
So it seems like you have a passion for like helping everyone of sorts, which I love that and very much resonate with. My question is just like, how do you balance helping everyone while also realizing you're not for everyone?
I love that. Good question. I'm not for everyone, and I've accepted that. And some people let me know that, which is okay. I'm here for those who I can support. And then through other resources, I can share other resources for those who I'm not the right person for them. And I think it's okay to realize you're not for everyone, and everyone in this room isn't for everyone, and we're all individual, but I think we continue just be a good damn person and love everyone and be okay if you're not for everyone.
Quick question. When you first started out, like what were things that you learned when you first started hiring your first employees? Because I feel like growing a team and scaling is the most difficult part. It's like what were the first things that you learned when you had your first hires?
I was so nervous hiring my first employee, and Brian LaCrone, he was with us for 13 years, and he would come to my dining room table, and I'm like, will you just like people on Facebook? It was very intimidating, but it gets to that point where you can't manage everything. You'll have that like urge and that push when you're like, okay, now I need help. Again, I didn't go to business school. I had to learn everything. I actually ran our finances for about 8 years. I had to learn all of that. And then once I realized I'm like, I shouldn't be running the books anymore. I was like, I need to hire someone for this. So I think instinctually, you know when you need to hire and who that person will be. Our first employee was hired off of Craigslist. Is Craigslist still around?
As a female-focused company and community, what do you want to say to men? Like, what's a message you want to send to men? And have you thought about tailoring or providing some services to men as you cycle through male CEOs?
I believe that men and women equally need to be represented, and it's just as hard for a male CEO as a female. I mean, well, I might take that back. It's hard for everybody. So in particular, I think that men do need support, and men don't reach out as much as women do. So let me go back to, as a female founder, I'm like, oh, I go to therapy. I reach out to my girlfriends. I seek help. I would say that a lot of male CEOs that I know don't ask for help. And that's where that stigma needs to be broken, where men can feel comfortable asking for help.
No, I just want to say thanks to everyone. And Karena, thank you for sharing like the depth of your experience. And as everyone said, just from a support standpoint, right? Like as you're building your businesses, go to thebigsilence.com just because there are resources there. It was just very much needed. So thank you for sharing, and congratulations on everything that you've accomplished and continue to do to support all of us.
Thank you.
Yeah.